Hello my friends, today I've got a classic video card from 2011, an MSI GTX 550 Ti with 1GB of VRAM. Yeah, keep that in mind, we'll see why later. This was the card I had in my rig back in 2012-2013. Nowadays you can get this card for around nothing, really. And I want to see if the card can still handle some modern titles, or at least some older games that people are still playing today. The test system is a Ryzen 7 3700X, a Gigabyte B550 Gaming X motherboard, 32GB of Corsair DDR4 running at 3200 MHz, transfers per second, yeah, that's why they call it nowadays. I'm using a Samsung Odyssey G4 IPS monitor, 1080p resolution, 240Hz refresh rate. For peripherals, I got a HyperX Alloy Origins Core keyboard with Aqua tactile switches and a SteelSeries Prime mouse, both wired, obviously. Alright, let's get into it. First up we have the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, the legendary RPG from 2011. Thank you Bethesda for this wonderful masterpiece. Of course, it's been re-released about a billion times already, and by the time Elder Scrolls 6 drops, we'll probably see another 3-4 versions. But hey, it is what it is, we're playing what we have. And honestly, Skyrim is still an amazing experience. I'll be running it at 1080p, medium settings, no anti-aliasing, but I'll enable all those extra little tweaks that should make it look great without absolutely murdering this poor video card. The atmosphere in this game is so atmospheric that I just wanna wander around and check out every single square meter, because trust me, there's a lot to find. There's so much random stuff scattered across the map that you'd probably need a warehouse management tool just to keep track of it all. But hey, that doesn't seem to mess with the performance too much. We're looking at a solid 46 FPS on average, with 1% lows around 38 FPS, and that's in the city. We'll see how it holds up later in other areas. And now, my guilty pleasure in Skyrim, and Oblivion also, aside from exploring and admiring the cities and landscapes, is going full stealth archer mode, sneaking around and taking out enemies from the shadows with that sweet bonus stealth damage. And let's be real, watching that slow motion cinematic arrow fly straight into some poor NPC who never saw it coming, delicious. That's the bittersweet cherry on top of the sticky sweet cake Bethesda has been serving us for the last 19 years. It's sweet because Oblivion, Fallout 3 and Skyrim are amazing, and it's bitter because, come on guys, you're making the same game every freaking time. Maybe shake up things a little bit? I'm just saying. After some more gameplay at 1080p medium settings, we're getting 44 FPS on average with 1% lows at 31 FPS. The GPU is maxed out at 100% usage, the full 1GB of VRAM is filled to the brim, and it's running at 77 degrees Celsius. That's kinda high for a card like this, but nothing too crazy. And since the video card seems to be handling Skyrim okay, I've decided to crank it up to ultra settings. Everything maxed out except anti-aliasing. Performance varies a lot depending on where I am. Right now it's actually pretty smooth with an average of 37 FPS. The game feels responsive, I have no noticeable lag, and I haven't seen any stutters. But if I step into this boat over here, performance tanks. The game starts feeling sluggish in certain areas. It's probably some weird setting messing with it. I should have investigated, but yeah, next time, thank you. I have a quick update about the Midnight Geek channel. I've moved all my pure gaming related videos on the Midnight Gamer channel. I will put it in the description of this video. Thank you. And now we have GTA 5, a game from 2015 that's still played like crazy today. Because let's be real, GTA 6 is dropping on PC in like who knows how many years. Thank you Rockstar. Anyway, GTA 5 has a built-in benchmark, which is great if you want to test multiple components and compare the results. But that's not what we're here for. We want to see real performance, so that's exactly what we're going to do. And since we're here, let's talk about me and GTA 5, because some people keep asking what I think about it. Well, considering I bought the game, it's obviously I had a reason. And yeah, I love the visual style, I love the open world, the fact that you can find literally anything on the map and do whatever you want. Total freedom. I love Rockstar's attention to detail, the cars look great, they handle great, GTA 4, and the combat feels smooth and satisfying. What I don't like in GTA 5, and the reason I'm not that motivated to finish the story, the 3 protagonists. I don't like any of them, at all, and I especially hate switching between them constantly. Not for me. And now the performance, or lack thereof. Unfortunately, I can't play above 1440 by 900 on minimum settings because, surprise, I don't have enough VRAM. This card has only 1GB of video memory, and GTA 5 won't even let me select settings that go over that limit. So yeah, 1440 by 900, everything on minimum, but hey, At least it's running on DirectX 11. And one more thing, I hate this whole VRAM restriction. It's like, let me decide what I want to do with my PC and my game and my video card. After I received this gorgeous lowrider, complete with a song that sounds like it belongs in an American dive bar where they serve good music alongside tea filled with ice cubes, I took it for a nice night cruise through this nice and explorable city. But I ended up here in a spot that looks suspiciously similar to a location from San Andreas. Is it the same place? Anyone who knows, tell me in the comments. Thanks. Doing some performance checks, I realized that the game is surprisingly smooth. Performance? Absolutely insane. We're talking 115 FPS average, with 1% lows at 88 FPS. The video card is running at 97% usage, using 977 MB of video memory. So yeah, the video memory is maxed out. Honestly, with these numbers, I should be able to crank up the settings or at least the resolution. But nope, the game won't let me. Thank you Rockstar for thinking about my poor video card. That being said, even on minimum settings, GTA 5 still looks really great. The city is packed with details, it's not like they just deleted everything and left me with the car, some roads and a few buildings. Draw distance? Fantastic, I can see way off into the distance. And very important, nothing pops in out of nowhere. No sudden buildings appearing right in front of me, no last second texture loading, and I really like this. This is one of the things that I don't like for older games. Small view distance and things popping right in. Freezes or stutters? Not even a question. The only real issue, it's kinda pixelated. Running at 1440 by 900 on a 1080p display is not nice, it's not the sharpest image. I bet this setup could still push 60 plus FPS easily at 1080p, and it would look way better. But aside from that, the game looks and runs amazing. Let's pay some respects to this old MSI GTX 550 Ti for holding up, and big props to Rockstar. Clearly, GTA 5's engine is a very good engine. Just imagine if Rockstar had made GTA 5 in Unreal Engine 5. Oh man, I mean AI. AI as in you need every single AI powered technology just to keep it from constant stutters. DLSS, FSR. My friend, save the resolutions. Back in my day, we ran games at higher resolutions, DSR, and downscale them for a sharper image. Now we do the exact opposite and call it progress. But let's progress to the next game before I start ranting and brooding again. But hey, if you wanna cheer me up, please hit that like and subscribe button, thank you very much. Next up, Doom. Wait a second, which Doom? Just Doom. Doom from 2016. Because of course, the first Doom came out in 1993 and apparently nobody at id Software could come up with a different name. Maybe they didn't want to call it Doom 4 because you know, 4 comes after 3 and Doom 3 wasn't exactly a fan favorite. Even though, hot take, I actually like Doom 3 more than Doom 2016. Honestly, Doom 2016 should have been called Doom 3 because it's the true successor to Doom 1 and 2. Meanwhile, the actual Doom 3 from 2004 should have been named The Doom Inside, because let's be real, the whole game takes place indoors anyway. But that doesn't mean I don't appreciate Doom 2016. On the contrary, since they're so different, I can enjoy both without one of them yelling at me. Doom 2016 is basically Serious Sam but with demons on Mars. You move through an area, reach an open arena, enemies spawn, you slaughter them, collect ammo and health from their corpses, rinse and repeat. Oh, and you can literally rip them apart and watch health packs and bullets exploding in your face. Because that's how biology works in hell, apparently. It's a great game, great fun. Side note, if you had shown me Doom 2016 without any context, I'd have instantly thought it was Quake 5. No questions asked. And that's a good thing, because Quake 4 looked amazing, I still love the game. I started at 1080p everything on minimum. After a good few minutes of spraying demon brains across Mars, I ended up with an average of 37 FPS. Not great. And 1% lows, a painful 19 FPS, which means lots of drops under 25 FPS, the absolute bare minimum for a playable FPS experience. Video card usage at 98%. Temperature is at 76 degrees Celsius and the VRAM usage at 800 MHz, so it's not even reaching the 1 GB limit. Yeah, it's not ideal. If you've got a GTX 550 Ti or something similar, you can play Doom 2016 at 1080p low settings. It is what it is. It's not the best experience, but hey, it's playable. The real problems appear when you need precision. The lag and occasional slowdowns make aiming a bit frustrating. But considering how much chaos this game throws at you, low FPS isn't the end of the world. Besides, glory kills don't require any skill. Just get close to the unlucky lad and press F. And just like in GTA 5, even though I'm playing on minimum settings, the game still looks fantastic. Levels are packed with flashy effects and overall the graphics hold up really well. You wouldn't realize that you're playing on low that fast. Though to be fair, this is in part because everything is orange, because you know, Mars. But how does the game run on high settings? First off, yes, there's a clear visual improvement. Everything looks cleaner, sharper and smoother, without that low texture grainy look. The downside? Performance takes a huge hit. Average FPS 26, 1% lows, 11 FPS. Painful. And I can definitely feel it. The game moves slowly, it feels sluggish, like it's constantly fighting against itself. But man, the way metal surfaces look on high settings, absolutely gorgeous. Peak textures. The video card is maxed out at 99% usage with 960 MB VRAM usage, but the temperature stays at around 76 degrees, so at least it's not overheating. Also, some depth of field effects kick in on high settings. During glory kills, the camera focuses on your poor victim, while everything else in the background gets blurred out beautifully. And honestly, it looks incredible. It's a chef's kiss level of effect. Bon appetit! Using ultra settings seems to be activating some slow motion mode. Because I couldn't resist, I cranked everything up to ultra settings. It's all or nothing. Either the GPU dies or the game turns into a slideshow. And guess what? The game turned into a slideshow. 19 average FPS, which is a lie, because it feels even worse and the entire game is in slow motion. But not like a cool cinematic slow motion, no, I'm in slow motion too. But if you anticipate everything, you can actually click before your crosshair reaches the enemy, knowing that in reality the crosshair is already on them, you just can't see it yet. It's like playing with something like a reverse time skip. And let's be honest, glory kills in ultra slow motion, awesome. So what's the final verdict for Doom? Well, it runs okay, but to get playable FPS you have to play on low settings, otherwise it just feels too slow. Not smooth like water, but more like heavy water. And speaking of heavy water, our next game has plenty of it. Fallout 4, or as I call it, Fallout 2015. Alright, the water is heavy, but the game is light, or at least lighter than Fallout 3 and New Vegas. That's why I call this one Fallout 2015, light on dialogues, on storytelling. After barely surviving nuclear annihilation with my family, I wake up from cryo sleep apparently 200 years later, and now I'm in the world of Fallout, which is surprisingly bright and colorful. Definitely doesn't have that weird, eerie vibe that the other Fallout games had. But while thinking about that, a dog appeared and instantly became my new best friend. The game runs surprisingly smooth at 1080p medium settings. The video card usage is at 100% almost all the time, and the video memory is maxed out, 1006 MB. And yet, the game runs really well with an average FPS of 46 and 35 frames per second 1% lows. This means there aren't any big FPS drops, which translates in a smooth gameplay experience, as smooth as the cheese these people probably eat from those three-headed cows. Yikes! Even in combat, the FPS is stable, no random performance spikes even when looking at large open areas or exploring these mini cities. By the way, there is one thing I appreciate about modern games: huge draw distances. Even if you're using low settings for the draw distance, you can still see far away. In older games, low draw distance is terrible. Please try this in Oblivion, you can see 5 meters in front of you. Obviously, I had to test ultra settings with everything maxed out except anti-aliasing. And surprise surprise, the frame rate is actually decent for a game like Fallout 2015, where pinpoint accuracy isn't that important. 33 average FPS, 28 1% lows, and honestly this is surreal, and here's why. This video card is from 2011, it's a mainstream card, not some high-end beast, and the game is from 2015 and actually looks pretty good. Also, I love VATS, activate the mode, 54% chance to hit left arm, GG. And of course we get that cinematic kill cam straight out of Skyrim. Now that I'm maxing out every draw distance settings, and since we're approaching this absolutely gorgeous location, the frame rate is starting to drop. The game is getting sluggish, and yeah, I can feel it. This is clearly a demanding area, and the FPS tanks to 14 1% lows. But hey, I never expected this video card to handle ultra settings in every part of the map anyway. It is what it is. Battlefront 2 is a multiplayer shooter, but I'll be playing with bots because I don't want to ruin other people's matches and I don't want to embarrass myself in an online match. So let's jump in at 1080p low settings. I've picked Kashyyyk because this planet has always intrigued me, whether it was in Revenge of the Sith or Knights of the Old Republic. And yeah, the map looks great, it's well designed, not overloaded with clutter, and the vegetation isn't so dense that it messes with the visibility. It's a perfect balance of nature and architecture. And those massive trees, the cherry on top. I went with a sniper to see if the game runs well enough for precise shots, because if I can aim properly with the sniper, the game is running just fine. And as it turns out, it is. Average FPS 35, 1% lows 27, which means no massive drops. video card usage at 98%, video memory usage at 900 MB, and we have a semi-decent temperature of 77 degrees Celsius. All things considered, I managed to kill a good number of droids with my current skill level, proving that the game runs fine. At 1080p medium settings, the game is no longer that responsive. You can really feel that this poor video card is struggling, trying to keep up with all these beautiful details. And with 1% lows hitting 17 FPS, it's clear, I've pushed it too far. Speaking of things that don't go that far, this ship I'm flying. Absolute garbage. I wanted to cover long distances, but instead it moves like a camel. Slow, and it handles like a brick. Like no one did any drifts with a camel in the desert. And yeah, that makes no sense, but neither does what I'm trying to do with this vehicle. Anyway, the game runs bad, but it looks good, although I honestly can't even see much of a difference between low and medium settings. But medium is clearly not playable. And now, a stunning game made by the Grandmasters at Remedy. Control is an interesting experience. Visually and audibly, it's peak Remedy. Suspended bodies hanging from the ceiling, occasionally reanimating, intense color contrasts, red, purple and others. And then there's the way this woman literally embodies evil, names it and delivers a great acting performance. Courtney Hope's voice acting, 10 out of 10. Listen to this, just listen please. Running the game at 1080p low settings, and the FPS is hovering around 20. The game feels sluggish and the shooting feels off. I have zero precision. I was defeated here several times because, let's be real, you can't play a shooter at 10 FPS. Like in many modern games, even at low settings, Control still looks fantastic. I was actually discussing this with some people recently. Modern games still look great at low settings, which is something to appreciate. Back in the day, if you run a game on low settings, it was a complete disaster. Medium was the bare minimum for not having low quality nightmares. I lowered the resolution to 720p, but the game is still unplayable. But without having the low health screen effect, I actually get 40 FPS. So yeah, certain effects are killing the GPU. Alright, it's time to go full retro. 800 by 600. That's right, we're going all in, embracing our roots.
But what's retro about this video, my friend?
This, 800 by 600, welcome to 2001. And yes, the game is actually playable now. I have 40-50 FPS most of the time, and even during those nasty effects I get 20 FPS, not 10 like before. And the result? I finally defeated my enemies. And now, after clearing out all that red, the area is glowing with a beautiful blue. Nice vibes. But before closing the game, I had to see what this video card can really do. So here it is, 1080p, maxed out, no anti-aliasing, no anisotropic. And the results? A solid 5 FPS across the board. Hey, 5 is still a passing grade, right? Good enough for me. Counter-Strike 2 is the latest thing in the world of competitive shooters, but let's be real, it's just Counter-Strike with a fresh coat of paint. Yikes. At least I think that's the case. I wouldn't know because I don't play Counter-Strike, but many of you do, so I figured it's only fair to test it out. I started at 1080p low settings because that's what the pros use, and even though I lack the skill to play competitively, at least I can use the same settings. Unfortunately, MSI Afterburner doesn't show stats in Counter-Strike 2, so all we have is the in-game FPS counter. The FPS stays between 50-70 depending on the number of players and effects. Smoke and fire bring major FPS drops, but overall it's playable. So yeah, if this is your only video card, you can still play Counter-Strike online with the boys. If you want better graphics, don't. The FPS drops below 30, making it completely unplayable. Someone throws a smoke grenade and goodbye frame rate. Fun fact, back in my day, that was actually the strategy. Throwing a smoke grenade wasn't just for cover, it was to tank the FPS of everyone with a weak PC, until you realized your own PC was bad too. Great. I also tried max settings, but I have no noticeable FPS difference. I honestly don't even know what's going on. Maybe my video card just refused to render the game at high settings, and honestly, I don't blame it, because at this point, I'm exhausted too. Even in 2025, the GTX 550 Ti can still hold its ground. Yeah, some games are older, but many of them are still actively played today. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, have fun and be nostalgic.